OBS there. Hello boys and girls, a very good evening and welcome to yet another live session for your upcoming IBPS PO exam brought to you by TalentSprint. I hope all of you are preparing really well and aggressively for this highly competitive exam, and these live sessions that we are doing on a regular basis are helping you enhance your readiness, right? So we have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel that you can access anytime, anywhere, and we have covered the entire ground with regards to this curriculum or syllabus of IBPS PO exam. So just follow the videos that we have and keep joining us in these live sessions, which will help you revisit important concepts and make sure that you are fully confident before you go for your exam, right? I think we have less than a month now, so it's obvious that you should be preparing really hard and practice as much as you can, because that's the only shortcut. Whatever be the topic or subject, practice is the key. The more you practice, the easier it gets, right? Now today's discussion is on a very interesting topic, a very relatable topic, I would say, right? Once you start into in your career, you would probably feel or use this more often than you are using now. The topic is simple and compound interest, right? And we all deal with this whole idea of interest when we take a loan, or when we, let's say, give an advance to someone, right? And I'm sure all of us deal with banks, every individual there, and you'll probably deal more once you get into a job. And of course you guys are going to work for a bank, so it becomes all the more important for you to understand this concept of simple and compound interest. So we have some interesting questions from this area of interest, simple and compound interest, that we'll take up today. I am not going to discuss any basic concept here again, right? If you want to learn those basic concepts and some simple problems, go back to our YouTube channel and watch the simple and compound interest playlist. In today's session, we'll directly jump into questions and use those concepts to solve the questions here. One very important point that I would like to highlight is avoid using the formula, right? I mean, if I ask you what is simple interest, or how do you solve a question on simple interest, the most obvious answer would be, SI equals to P into T into R by 100, PTR by 100, right? Or PNR by 100. Likewise, compound interest is, P times of 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T minus P, right? Or you take a P common and that becomes minus 1, right? Now, it's very complex to use this formula, right? I mean, if it is to be done even for 2 years, substituting the values in the formula and then doing that numerical calculation becomes complex. On the other hand, if you are strong in your, if you're strong with numbers, and if you know this concept of percentage that can be used to solve questions on SI and CI, your life becomes simple. So learn those concepts of percentages that can help you solve questions on simple and compound interest. Videos are there, like I said. Then it becomes very, very useful. So we are going to take up some questions based on those concepts today. So let me present the first one to you all, which is on your screens now. Look at the question. It says a man invested rupees X in simple interest at a rate of interest of 15% for 5 years. So a person has invested rupees X in simple interest at the rate of interest of 15% for 5 years. Now somebody who has gone through that concept of percentage would by now know that the interest earned is 75%. See, it's a simple interest case. So obviously it's simple, right? The simple interest here is going to be 15 times 5. Every year you get 15%. So 5 years you will get 75%. So I know that the simple interest is 75% of X. Then he also invested X plus 300. See, he originally invested X in simple interest. Then he has invested X plus 300 at compound interest. This time it's compound interest at 10% rate for 2 years on another scheme. Now again, if you have learned that concept of percentage that can be applied for solving CI, you would know that this is going to give you a 21% compound interest. See, simple interest is easy. Simple interest in terms of percentage is nothing but the rate of interest into the time period. So 15% into 5 will give you 75%. Compound interest has to be calculated using a formula as follows: A plus B plus AB by 100. Compound interest should be calculated as A plus B plus AB by 100. Simple interest is simply R into T percentage of the principal amount, right? Compound interest is A plus B plus AB by 100% of the principal amount. Now what are A and B here? A is the rate of interest for first year, the rate of interest in first year, right? And B is the rate of interest in second year. Now most of the times the rate of interest in first year and second year is the same, so A and B turn out to be equal. But if they are different, let's say in some cases you may find that the rate of compound interest in first year is 10% and that in the second year becomes 12% or 8%. So then A is 10, B is 12 or 8. If that is not the case, if it is a simple compound interest case where you have a 20% rate of interest for 2 years, then A is equal to 20, B also is equal to 20. Now this in my view is by far the most important shortcut that you must learn and understand where to apply, right? A plus B plus AB by 100. It is a way of calculating effective percentage when two percentages are involved, right? Many applications of this formula. One of the most important ones is compound interest. A plus B plus AB by 100. So if the rate of interest is 10% and time period is 2 years, what is simple interest? 10 plus 10, 20, or 10 into 2, 20, as simple as that. What would be compound interest? 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100. First year's rate of interest is 10. Second year is also 10. It's not changing. So A plus B plus AB by 100. So 10 plus 10, 20. 10 into 10 by 100. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 upon 100 is 1. So 10 plus 1, 21%. Let's say if it is 8% compound interest, 8% for 2 years. What do? Don't use that 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T minus P. It's going to be complex. 8% for 2 years will give you what? 8 plus 8 plus 8 into 8 by 100. So 16 plus 0.64. 8 squared is 64. 64 by 100 is 0.64. 16.64%. Your compound interest is 16.64%. Now the question that comes up is 16.64% of what? Of the principal amount. When it comes to simple and compound interest, the 100% is equivalent to principal amount, right? It is all on the base of principal. So any percentage has to be on the principal amount. So 16.64% of principal value, right? Let's say the rate of interest is 30%, for example, 30% per year for 2 years. How do you do? A plus B plus AB by 100, compound interest. So 30 plus 30, 60, 30 into 30 by 100. 30 into 30 by 100 is 9. 900 by 100, 9. 60 plus 9, 69%. Now how quickly do you solve 69% of the principal is again a question which depends on your numerical skills. But in terms of the concept, I think this is easier than using the formula, right? You get a percentage, just do that percentage calculation on the principal value. Now I'm sure the one question that comes to your mind now is, what if it is 3 years? What's the formula? Now, and whenever I ask this, the immediate response that I get is the formula should be A plus B plus C plus ABC by 100. But then that's crap, right? That's not the formula. It is the same formula, A plus B plus AB by 100, but it has to be used twice. You first apply it on first year and second year, you get an effective percentage. Then use this effective percentage and the third year value, again apply A plus B plus AB by 100, you get the final percentage. What if it's to be for a period of 4 years? You have to use the formula 3 times. What if it is for 5 years? You have to use the formula 4 times, and so on. Now you may argue that this is time consuming. I would use the compound interest formula. Go for it. Do what is comfortable for you. I'm sure when you actually get to solving a question on 4 years, you will figure out that using A plus B plus AB by 100 is far easier and faster than the formula, because formula is to be taken to the power of 4, right? Complex. A plus B plus AB by 100 can be used simply 3 times to get to the number there. Again, calculation is very important. You should be able to do the calculation. Then there can be a case where there is 2.5 years or 3.5 years, right? A non-integer value. How do you do it? Videos are available on our channel. Please watch those videos and learn these concepts thoroughly. Let me now get to solving this question here. So we had 10% for 2 years. So I'm sure that the CI is going to be 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100. So 10 plus 10, you getting it? 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100. That's my compound interest, right? How much is this? 21%. This is 21%. What is simple interest? Simple, 15 into 5, 75%. And please do not write these steps on paper. It's a waste of time. You should be able to do these calculations mentally. Now comes the real question. The total interest obtained from both the schemes is 4383. The total interest obtained from both the schemes, meaning sum of SI and CI, is 4383. Find the total amount invested by the man is the question here. Now understand, this 75% is of what? 75% of what? 75% of X, because you had invested X in simple interest. This 21% is in what? 21% of X plus 300, because in case of compound interest, you had invested X plus 300. So 21% of X plus 300. So now basically the question boils down to one equation. 75% of X plus 21% of X plus 300 is equal to what? The total value given there, which is 4383. That's it, solve for X and you're through. Remember, for you to write this equation, for you to come to this equation, you will take about 10 seconds, not more than that, because simple interest is 75 straight away. Compound interest also is very easy, 21%. Now 75% of X plus 21% of X is 96% of X. 96% of X. 21% of 300 is what? 21% of 300 is going to be 63. So that should be subtracted from 4383. You understand the equation? 21% of 300 is 63. So it is plus 63 this side. When you go to the other side, it becomes minus 63. So 4383 minus 63 will give you 4320. 4320. Now what is he asking us to get? He's asking us to get the total the total amount invested by the man. The total amount invested by the man. Total amount invested by the man. Solve for it. So you have to get X. What is the total amount invested by the man? He has invested X plus 300. Be careful. Yeah. X plus 300. So you need to calculate X first and then X plus 300. Yeah. Now if you see 96 and 432, what do you want to do here? 96 and 432, I think this is 48 times 2. This is, if you see, 480 minus 48. This is 9. So you're going to get actually 4,500. You understand? Again, it's about calculation. What I'm saying here is X is going to be into 100 by 96. This is 48 into 2. This is 48 into 9. Because 48 into 10 is 480. Into 9 is 480 minus 48, which is 432. So 90. So 90 by 2, 45. 45 into 100, 4,500. So basically, X is equal to 4,500. X is equal to 4,500. What do we have to do? X plus 300. 4,500 plus 4,500. That's 9,000. 9,000 plus 300. 9,300. Option D is going to be the answer. Now, does it really take so much time in the exam? No. I was explaining it to you, so it took longer. When I have to do it myself, I'm sure I'll do it in half the time that you spent there, or maybe lesser than that. And same applies to you as well, right? A lot of things that we put on paper there were to be visualized, right? You need to understand that mentally. You don't have to, translate that into writing. You just get it here, right? 75% of X, 21% of X plus 300 equals to, the sum of these two equals to 4383. That's the equation you're solving there. And see, every question would have numbers. If you can't deal with numbers, then there's no point in learning any shortcut. Whether you go by percentage or by the actual formula or by any other formula, it's going to take a lot of time for you if you cannot play with those numbers. So what really is important is to be good in your numerical ability, and that can be mastered only through practice. So keep practicing. Yeah. Anyway, the important lesson here is simple interest is very easy. Percentage per annum into number of years. Compound interest, effective percentage. A plus B plus AB by 100. Yeah. Moving on. Let's take up the next question on your screens now. What does it say? Arohi invested 25,000 in compound interest at the rate of X percentage per annum and 32,000 in simple interest at the rate of X plus 3% per annum for a period of 1 year. If the total amount received by her at the end of the year is 62,520, then find the rate of interest per annum for simple interest. Now this is interesting again. You see, she has invested 25,000 at compound interest and 32,000 at simple interest. Now the total amount received by her at the end of 1 year. See, total amount includes what? The total amount always includes principal plus interest. So the total principal plus interest at the end of year is equal to 62,520. Now, how much is principal out of the 62,520? This has got a 25,000 principal of compound interest. It has got a 32,000 principal of simple interest. Then it has got the compound interest earned on it and the simple interest earned on it. So to make things simple, I can simply subtract 25,000, 32,000 from 62,520. How much will I get? What will I get? I can say CI plus SI, the compound interest plus simple interest equals to, see 25,000 plus 32,000 is 57,000, right? 57,000. 62,000 minus 57,000 is 5,000. 5,520. So do not waste your time in doing all this, right? You should straight away get to this equation. 5,520 is the number you're looking at. Now 5,520 is what? CI plus SI. This CI and SI also you should write smartly. What will be the CI? X percentage of 25,000. See, it is for 1 year. The advantage here is both are for 1 year. For 1 year, compound interest and simple interest are same. I mean, it's simply the percentage of the principal. So what is the CI? X percentage of 25,000. X percentage of 25,000. What is simple interest? X plus 3 percentage of 32,000. X plus 3 percentage of 32,000 equals to 5,520. That's it. Solve for X now. Again, one equation, one variable, you can solve for it. Do it mentally. Don't put pen on paper. Don't try to put, don't do a lot of paperwork, right? X percent of 25,000 plus X percent of 32,000 is like X percent of what? 57,000 plus. Now, plus is what? 3 percentage of 32,000. What is 3 percentage of 32,000? 1% is 320. 3% would be 960. So that 3% when I subtract from 5,520, I'll get 5,520 minus 960. I am writing this minus 960 so that you can follow the calculation. Otherwise, you should directly write the number. So 5,520 minus 960 will be 5,520 minus 1,000, which is 4,520 plus 40, 4,560. You get it? Now this is 8%. What percentage of 57,000 is 4,560? See, 10% is 5,700. 2% is 1140. 5,700 minus 1140 is 4,560. So 8% has to be the answer. But X is equal to 8%. X is 8. The question is find the rate of interest per annum for simple interest. Simple interest was given at what rate? X plus 3. Simple interest was X plus 3. So 8 plus 3, 11%. Option D would be the answer. Again, the trick lies in solving this. X percentage of 57,000 is equal to 4,560. So I'm now going to explain you what actually ran in my head when I was looking at those numbers. X percentage of 57,000 is equal to 4,560. This clearly is less than 10%, right? Clearly is less than, X is less than 10% because 10% is 5,700. So basically what I'm trying to do is, I mean, this we have discussed in our videos of percentages as well, right? How do you do percentage based calculations? When I look at 4,560, I change it to 5,700 minus whatever it is, and that minus value comes out to be 1140, because 5,700 minus 1100 is 4,600 minus 40 is 4,560. Now why am I taking it as 5,700 minus 1140? Why can't it be simply 5,000 minus 440? Because 5,000 minus 440 doesn't help me. 5,700 helps me. Why? 5,700 can be taken as 10% of 57,000. And luckily the other part, 1140 also is actually exactly 2% of 57,000. 1% is 570, 2% is 1140. So 10% minus 2%, 8%. X is 8%. X is 8%. We need X plus 3. So 11%, option D would be the answer. Again, the same cry. What is that? Calculation. If you cannot deal with it, then you cannot solve the question. I mean, it would take longer. You cannot solve the question quickly like the way you would want. Yeah. So I think numbers is the magic. I mean, if you can play with numbers, all the things become easy. Yeah. Should we move on? Let's take up the next question. Here, try this. What does it say? Sona deposited a total of 10,500 with the bank in 2 different deposit schemes at 10% per annum, interest being compounded annually. As per the scheme, so this is a compounding case, right? Compound interest. And compounded annually meaning regular compounding, right? If it is semi-annually or quarterly, then life becomes miserable. But here it's annually, so don't need to worry. As per the schemes, she gets the same amount after 2 years on the first deposit as she gets after 3 years on the second deposit. How much money did she deposit for 3 years? Now this is an interesting one, and there's a method that you can follow to solve this model of question on compound interest. See, what is he saying? Sona deposited a total of 10,500 in a bank in two different deposit schemes. There are two different schemes. So this 10,500 was put in two different schemes, scheme 1 and scheme 2. Let's say the part in scheme 1 is P1, the part in scheme 2 is P2. Principal. So P1 plus P2 basically. This is P1 plus P2. P1 plus P2 equals 10,500. So in scheme 1 you have put P1, in scheme 2 you have put P2. Both the schemes offer 10% per annum. So this gives you 10% per annum, this also gives you 10% per annum. By the way, both are compound interest schemes. There's no difference. Now the point is, as per the schemes, she gets the same amount after 2 years on the first deposit. This is the first deposit. She has put it for 2 years. As she gets after 3 years on the second deposit. She has put the second deposit for 3 years. The amount that you get from scheme 1 after 2 years is equal to the amount that you would get from scheme 2 after 3 years. Remember, he's talking about amount, same amount. And I told you in the basics of simple and compound interest. When you say amount, I mean amount has a general meaning, right? Amount could mean cash, cash or that value there. But when it comes to simple and compound interest, it has got a specific meaning, right? Amount means, it could be principal amount, it could be interest amount, or it could be total. What does it mean actually? It means the total amount. When you use the word amount, the idea is it's the total amount. It is the principal plus interest. The amount that you get after 2 years. See, if I have put 10,000 rupees in a scheme, what will I get after 2 years? I'll get an amount. That amount is not just the interest, it is also the principal. So whenever you have amount in this context of getting after 2 years or after X years, that amount means total amount, principal amount plus interest amount. So basically in this question, what he says is 10,500 was deposited in two different schemes. Both offer 10% per annum. Scheme 1, I have put in for 2 years. Scheme 2, I have put in for 3 years. What I get after 2 years from scheme 1 is equal to what I get in scheme 2 after 3 years. So the amounts are equal. Now the best way to solve this question would be to actually go by the formula. See, in case of simple and compound interest, you know that compound interest, the formula is this: P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T minus P. Compound interest is this minus P. The total amount is CI plus P, compound interest plus P. So that comes out to be P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T. These are the formulae, simple and compound interest formula, right? Formula for interest, formula for amount. Now this formula has to be used. It becomes easy to solve. What is the formula for amount? P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T. Now use the formula. So basically A1 is equal to A2. That's what the question says, right? What is A1? P1 into, this is the formula. Remember, P will be equal to P1 into 1 plus R by 100. R is nothing but 10 by 100 whole to the power of T. T is what? 2 years. Equals to A2. What is A2? P2 into 1 plus R by 100. R again is 10 divided by 100 whole to the power of 3. I generally say don't use the formula, but for this particular model, using the formula is the best way to solve the question. Right? So amount for 2 years is equal to amount for 3 years. What's the difference? Only the principal is changing. Interest is same. The rate of interest is same. Yeah. Now what is the advantage of using this formula? You see straight away this 1 plus 10 by 100 whole to the power of 2 and 1 plus 10 by 100 whole to the power of 3 kind of gets cancelled and we are left with this. So basically you can say P1 by P2, the ratio P1 by P2 equals to 1 plus 10 by 100. 1 plus 10 by 100 is like 100 plus 10, 110 by 100 or 11 by 10. So what it straight away gives me is the ratio. Ratio of what? The principal amounts. P1 is to P2 is 11 is to 10. I know the ratio. I also know the total amount. Can I get the individual values now? Yes. Now it becomes a ratio and proportion question. P1 is to P2 is 11 is to 10. P1 is to P2 is 11 is to 10. What is P2 is the question. How much money did she deposit for 3 years? 3 years scheme is the P2 value. 3 years is P2, right? So P2 equals to what? How do you calculate P2? P2 is what? 10 parts. 10 parts out of 21 parts into 10,500. Simplify, you get the answer. Solve this and you get the answers. 21 goes 5 times. 500 times 10 is 5,000. Option B is the answer. Okay. So generally avoid formula. Refrain from using the formula, especially in simple and compound interest. But this particular type where we are dealing with amount, actually comparison of amounts, not even amount. Any of comparison of amounts in compound interest, better go by formula. Okay, option B, 5,000 is the answer. It should not take more than 20-25 seconds in my view in the exam, right? Don't go by the length of the explanation and assume that it's a complex one. I'm explaining it, so it's taking longer. And I'm writing all those stuff on paper, right? I mean, the CI formula, the amount formula, all that drama of putting two dabbas, P1, P2 and all that. You would not be doing that in the exam, right? Just get to the solution straight. You should be comparing the amounts directly. You should write P1 into 1 plus 10 by 100 whole square equals to P2 into 1 plus 10 by 100 whole cube and solve for it. That's it. Moving on. The next question is on your screens now. Try this. Akhilesh invested 16,000 in scheme which earned him simple interest at 15% per annum. After 2 years, he withdrew the principal amount plus interest and invested the entire amount in another scheme for 2 years, which earned him compound interest at 12% per annum. What will be the total interest earned by Akhilesh at the end of 4 years? Interesting question, right? The principal is 16,000. He invested in simple interest at what rate? 15% per annum. For how many years? For 2 years. So how much interest will he get? 30%. What will be the simple interest? 15% for 2 years. After 2 years, he withdrew the principal amount plus the interest. What he did, we'll look at that later. What he did afterwards, we'll deal with it later. But first of all, how much simple interest will he get? After 2 years, this interest is equal to what? This is simple interest. How much will that be? 15% per year. So for 2 years, it will be 30%. 30% of what? Principal. 30% of 16,000 is 4,800. That's a simple calculation. So one value is already known to us. One value is already known to us. What is he asking? What will be the total interest earned by Akhilesh at the end of 4 years? Total interest at the end of 4 years is SI plus CI, right? SI we have already got 4,800. Now comes the question on CI, compound interest. Now what did he do? So after 2 years, he withdrew the principal plus interest and invested the entire amount. Entire amount would mean what? This principal amount plus interest, which is 16,000 plus 4,800. This entire amount here means 16,000 plus 4,800, which is 20,800. So he invested this 20,800 in another scheme. For how many years? For 2 years, which earned him compound interest. Now we are talking about compound interest. Yeah. At what rate? 12% per annum. Now go back to that concept, right? How do you calculate compound interest? A plus B plus AB by 100. So compound interest will be 12 plus 12 plus 12 into 12 by 100. So 12 plus 12 is 24 and 12 into 12 by 100 is 1.44. So 24 plus 1.44, 25.44. 25.44% of what? Principal. And this time what's the principal? 20,800. You understand? For the compounding scheme, principal is 20,800. For the simple interest scheme, the principal is 16,000. Yes or no? Don't take 16,000 as the principal. The principal is going to be 20,800. Now, I would want to do a basic calculation or an approximate calculation. Of course, none of this is there. It could be tricky. It could be risky. But still, I would like to do a approximate calculation before doing the exact numericals here, right? I mean, 25.44 is a little tedious. But let's say approximately 25. Approximately 25. 25% of what? 20,800. See, what is 25%? 1/4, right? 1/4 of 20,800 will be 5,200. Yes or no? 25% of 20,800 is 5,000 plus 200. 5,200. 25.44 will be 5,200 plus something. 5,200 plus something. Anyway, what do I want? I want the total value, SI plus CI. So SI plus CI is going to be what? 4,800 plus 5,200. That is 10,000. 10,000 plus something. 10,000 plus something. Now look at the options. Option A, option C, option D are eliminated. Now because fifth option, none of this is there, I'll have to do exact calculation. But then you know that answer can either be B or E. So if you're running short of time, and you want to kind of increase the chances of getting the right answer, you eliminate A, C, D and then choose either B or E. Yes or no? We are not sure. It could be B or it could be E. If fifth option also was a number, and if you could eliminate it somehow, then we would be happy. But now there is a risk. Marking option B is risky. It might be correct or might be wrong, right? 50% chance. But then if you do a little more approximation, you would maybe figure out that option B also is wrong. I can sense that option B also is going to be wrong. How do I do that? See, what did I skip in my calculation? This 0.44%. I have taken exact 30% of 16,000, 4,800. I have taken 25% of 28,000, 20,800. I've got 5,200. The only part which is missing is 0.44%. 0.44% of same 20,800. Now look at this. 0.44 is like approximately 0.5 percentage. Less than 0.5, but approximately 0.5. 0.5 percentage of what? 20,800. Now tell me, 1% of 20,800 is 208. 1% of 20,800 is 208. Yes or no? 1% is 208. Divide by 100, 1%. If 1% is 208, 0.5%, half percent basically. Half percent will be 104. It will be 104. Meaning 0.5% of this value is 104. This 0.44 percentage should be less than 104. So what I get here will be less than 104. So 10,000 plus something less than 104. You getting it? Even if I add 104, it should become 10,104, and this option is 10,152. It is more than 10,104? Cannot be the answer, because I know that the answer should be less than 10,104. It should be, finally when I add, it will become less than 10,104. Because this value is less than 104. Let's say this is 100 approximately. So 10,000 plus 100, 10,100. This is 10,152. Even that gets eliminated. So option E is the answer. So the point I'm trying to make here is you don't have to actually do the complete calculation to the last decimal to mark the correct answer. If you do it smartly, options can be eliminated. Even in case of none of this here, we found that option B got eliminated. And if you think option B still satisfies that range that we're looking for, mark it and go ahead. I mean, sometimes you have to take chance. You can't be solving every question precisely till the exact answer, right? I mean, it takes time. I mean, if you have to find out 0.44%, you'll have to spend a few more seconds. Are we ready to do that? I'm not ready to do it. I'm marking option 5. I mean, I know option B got eliminated. I'll mark option 5. Yeah. I still do not know what the exact answer is, but I know that A, B, C, D are wrong. That's the difference. That's how smart students deal with questions in the exam. Approximately 10,104. Slightly less than 10,104. See, slightly more than 10,000 could mean option B also, right? I mean, option B is 10,152, slightly more than 10,000. That doesn't help me. What helps me is it should be less than 10,104. Option E. Moving on, the next question. Next question, let's say, try this. Got it? Okay, here we go. 1,500 rupees is invested in scheme A at R% per annum simple interest. Another amount 1,500 minus X is invested in scheme B at 2R% per annum simple interest. After 4 years, interest earned from scheme A is 25% less than that of scheme B. That's it. This is the most important equation. You should be able to write this equation. Scheme A's interest is 25% less than that of scheme B. Now what is scheme A? Principal, rate of interest, time period is 4 years, I guess. In both the cases, time period is 4 years. What is scheme B? Principal, rate of interest, time period is 4 years. Both are simple interest cases, right? Simple interest. So what will be the interest earned in scheme A? See, interest of scheme A, R% for 4 years. So 4R% of what? 1,500. This is scheme A, 4R% of scheme A equals to, now it is 25% less. If something is 25% less, can I say it is only 75%? Which means can I say it is 3/4? Yes. You should directly write 3/4. Okay. Scheme A is 25% less than scheme B, which means only 75% of scheme B. What we get in scheme A is only 75% of scheme B. It is equal to 75% of scheme B. It is 25% is less, right? So it is equal to 75% of scheme B. 75% is 3/4. So 3/4 of scheme B. Now what is the interest earned in scheme B? Same. Rate of interest is 2R percentage. For how many years? 4 years. So 2R into 4. You getting it? So 4 into 2R percentage of what? Principal amount, which is 1500 minus X. Solve for X. That's what he's asking, right? Find X. Solve for X. It's a very simple question. What happens? This 4 and 4 gets cancelled. This 2R percentage goes 2 times here. That's it. This is 500. 500 into 2, 1000. 1500 minus X is 1000. So X should be 500. Simple. You're getting it? So if you cut down the number of steps that you write on paper, you arrive at the answer really quick, obviously. Okay. Next one. Should we take up the next one? Let's look at the next question. Here we go. A man invested 12,000 in scheme giving 15%. A man invested 12,000 in scheme giving 15% compound interest for 2 years. So by the time you finish reading this, right, you should know that 15% for 2 years compound interest would mean 30 plus 2.25, 32.25%. You know what did I do? A plus B plus AB by 100. It's a compound interest case. For 2 years, R equals to 15%, or A equals to 15, B equals to 15. So 15 plus 15, 30. 15 into 15 by 100. So 225 by 100 is 2.25. 30 plus 2.25, 32.25. So I know that compound interest is 32.25. Compound interest is 32.25%. Of what? Of this principal. Anyway, I'll not do that calculation immediately. Let's read the remaining part of the question. The interest received from this scheme, what is the interest received from this scheme? This 32.25 is 200% more than the interest received from another scheme at 6% simple interest for 5 years. So find the total amount invested in both the schemes. Find the total amount invested in both the schemes. How do you solve this? See, the equation is this, that the interest received from one scheme is 200% more than the interest received from another scheme. What is the interest received from the first scheme? 32.25% of what? 12,000. This is equal to 200% more. Remember, if A is 200% more than B, what does it mean? A is equal to B plus 200% of B. 200% of B is 2B. So A is actually equals to 3B. This understanding you must have. If something is 200% more than the other thing, if X is 200% more than Y, what does it mean? X equals to 3Y. Usually in a hurry, we have this tendency of taking X equals to 2Y. It's 200% more, right? No, it's 200. It's not 200% of Y. It's 200% more than Y. Meaning X is Y plus 200% of Y. 200% of Y is 2Y. So Y plus 2Y, 3Y. X is 3Y. You're getting it? Suppose it says X is 500% more than Y. X is 6Y. It's a no-brainer. I mean, if you understand that point, then you can just write the equation straight. If X is, let's say, 1200% more than Y, then X is 13Y. Without writing anything on paper, right? 1200% more. So Y plus 1200% of Y. 1200% of Y is 12Y. So Y plus 12Y, 13Y. So I know that this value, 32.25% of 12,000 is 200% more. Meaning it is 3 times. 3 times of the other value. What is the other value? The simple interest case. 6% for 5 years is 30%. 30% of what principal? We don't know. That's what we have to evaluate. The first principal is given 12,000. The second principal has to be found, and then the 12,000 and this principal value has to be added. You're getting it? So this is CI. The equation was this. CI equals to 3 times of SI. CI is 32.25% of 12,000. SI is 30% of P. Now play with it. How do I do it? This is clearly 4,000. That's a no-brainer. How do I deal 32.25 and 30? If I say 0.25 into 4 is 1 into 40 is 10, 120. And then this will be 124, 128, 129. So this is 129 and this is 120. Yeah, so P will be 129 into 4,000 by 120. Or if I avoid cancelling with, I'll go back. You see, if I avoid cancellation with 3, life becomes much easier. 129 into, I know you don't have this technology in the exam, but you understand, I'm just reversing one step. 129 into 12,000 by 120 into 3. So this goes how many times? 100 times. This goes how many times? 43 times. So 4,300. Now 4,300 is not the answer. What is he asking? He's asking us to find the total amount invested in both the schemes. Total amount invested in both the schemes. One amount is 12,000, the other amount is 4,300. Total will be 12,000 plus 4,300, 16,300. Right? $16,300. That's your answer. Let's take one more. Try this. This is interesting. Let's see how many of you get it right. Try it out. Got it? Alright, let's take this up. So the amount of rupees 7,930 is so divided into 3 parts such that their amounts at the rate of 5% per annum simple interest after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years respectively are equal. Find the difference between the greatest and the smallest parts of the sum. Okay, that's interesting. So 7,390 is the total amount. An amount of 7,390 is divided into 3 parts such that their amounts, there here refers to those 3 parts, right? 7,390 is divided into 3 parts such that their amounts at the rate of 5% per annum simple interest after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years respectively are equal. So what are we doing? 7,930. Was the reading at 7,390 always? No. 7,930. The value is 7,930. Sorry, I thought I was reading it as 7,390. Anyways, so 7,930 is divided into 3 parts. Let's say P1, P2, P3. So P1 plus P2 plus P3 is 7,390. Now each part is giving you 5% per annum. Rate of interest is 5%, 5% and 5%. All are simple interest cases. The first one was for 2 years, second one was for 3 years, third one was for 4 years respectively. So each one will give an amount. Let's say A1, A2, A3. These amounts are equal, it says, such that their amounts are equal. Their amounts at this rate for so and so times are equal. Meaning A1 equals to A2 equals to A3. Now I told you, remember, when we are talking about amounts, we refer to the principal plus interest. It is principal amount plus interest amount. And this time it's a simple interest case. In case of compound interest, we go by the formula. We had just solved that question, right? P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power of T is the amount formula. Here also you can go by formula, but it's easier otherwise, right? See, what is amount? Here P1 plus SI1 equals to P2 plus SI2 equals to P3 plus SI3. That's what it says. A1 is P1 plus SI1. Principal amount plus simple interest. Let's assume principal amount is P1, whatever. We don't know what the value is, P1 itself. What is simple interest? 5% for 2 years is 10%, right? 5% for 2 years will give you what? 10%. So this is 10%. 10% of what? P1. So P1 plus 10% of P1 is nothing but 110% of P1. Yes. Similarly, what is SI2? SI2 is 5% for 3 years, 15%. So P2 plus 15% of P2 is 115% of P2 equals to SI3. SI3 is what? 5% for 4 years, meaning 20%. So SI3 is 20%. 20% of what? P3. So P3 plus 20% of P3 is 120% of P3. So this is the equation. What it says is whatever you get after 2 years and then 3 years and 4 years from first, second and third schemes, all those three are equal. So basically this will give us P1, P2, P3 ratio. From that ratio, then you have to find out the difference between the greatest and the smallest parts of the sum. These are 3 parts of the sum, right? P1, P2, P3 are 3 parts of the sum. Right? Remember, P1, P2, P3 are parts of 7,930. Don't take each one as 7,930. Okay, 7,930 was divided into 3 parts. So now from this ratio, you can get the individual values and then find out the difference between greatest and smallest. But finding out that ratio is going to be tricky here. Anyway, let me simplify this. For example, see, percentage is common, so forget about it. I mean, it's by 100, by 100, by 100 gets cancelled. 110, 115 and 120, if I simplify further, it would be like 5 into 22, 5 into 23, 5 into 24. So basically what we are saying is 22 P1 equals to 23 P2 equals to 24 P3. Let's say it's equal to K. So what is P1? P1 is to P2 is to P3. You understand? P1 is to P2 is to P3. P1 will be K by 22. So it's like 1 by 22 is to, what is P2? K by 23. So 1 by 23 is to P3 is K by 24. So 1 by 24. Actually all are K, K, K. You understand? P1 will be K by 22, P2 will be K by 23, P3 will be K by 24. So K is common, it gets cancelled. So we'll be left with 1 by 22, 1 by 23, 1 by 24. Now obviously the greatest part is P1. This is greatest. And what is the smallest? P3. We have to find the difference between these two. 1 by 22 is greatest, right? 1 by 22, 1 by 23, 1 by 24. Which is greatest? 1 by 22 is greatest. Which is smallest? 1 by 24 is smallest. So you have to take the difference of these two. There's no other shortcut. You actually have to deal with this calculation. I don't think we can have a... I mean, understanding question itself is important here. Once you have understood the question, then you have to deal with this ratio. You can't help it. So let me get a simpler ratio first. P1 is to P2 is to P3. How can you write that? See, if the LCM is 22 into 23 into 24 for all of them. If the LCM is 22 into 23 into 24. Or basically I'm multiplying every value here, every number here with 22 into 23 into 24. So what happens? This 22 and 22 gets cancelled, I'll be left with 23 into 24. So this is 23 into 24. You're able to follow? I am multiplying every term with 22 into 23 into 24. So 22 gets cancelled, we are left with 23 into 24. Here 23 gets cancelled, we'll be left with 22 into 24. And here 24 gets cancelled, we'll be left with 22 into 23. I mean, this calculation you know, this simplification you know, right? How to do that simplification. Now deal with it. So it's like into 12, into 12, into 11. So 23 into 12, 230 plus 46, 276. 22 into 12, so 220 plus 44, 264. And 11 into 22, 230 plus 23, 253. So P1, P2, P3, the ratio is 276 is to 264 is to 253. Greatest and smallest difference. Find the difference between these two. So greatest is 276 parts, smallest is 253 parts. What's the difference? Difference is how much? 276 minus 253, which is 23 parts. Yes or no? 276 minus 253 is 23 parts. That's the difference. Divided by total number of parts. So what is total number of parts? 200, 400, 600. 600, then this is 130 plus 50, 180. So 780, 780, 790, 793. Yeah. Multiplied by total value, 7,930. It's a ratio based question, right? I mean, after you have got this, it's like any other regular ratio based problem, right? The ratio is known to you. The total value is known to you. It's asking you to find the difference between smallest and largest. The mistake that many of us may commit is we will find the largest value, the smallest value, and then take the difference. What smart people do is they directly take the difference. The difference is 23 parts out of total 793 parts. Multiply that fraction with 7,930. So this is 10 times. What will be the answer? 23 into 10, 230. Option B. Now this is the only one I thought a little time consuming. Takes about a minute or maybe a few seconds upwards. But that's the way you solve it. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to write so many steps. You can cut down a lot of these steps. But calculation has to be done. That working on that ratio is typical, yeah. Okay. I think shall we take one last question? Okay, one last question and then we will close the session. The question is on your screens now. This is interesting. It says X is a person who invested an amount of 12,000 at simple interest rate of 10% per annum and another amount at simple interest rate of 20% per annum. The total interest earned at the end of 1 year becomes 14% per annum. Find the total amount invested. Now I'm sure you guys can write equations and solve it. This is a no-brainer, right? It's a simple question. All of you can solve it. But I would like to give you an interesting way of solving it, right? I mean, instead of doing that equations and all that, this question can be solved using the rule of allegation. Again, if you do not know what allegation is, allegations and mixtures is a very interesting concept in arithmetic aptitude. We have videos available on the YouTube channel, so refer to those videos. There's an allegation rule. There's type 1, type 2 and mixture. When you take the differences in a crossed fashion, you get the quantity ratio. You just apply the allegation rule and you get the answer. So I'm simply applying allegation rule to arrive at the value. You solve the same question using the regular equations, simple interest and compound interest equations. And then if you do not know what allegation rule is, you have to refer back to those videos on allegations first of all, right? So let me solve it using the allegation rule. What does it say? You have invested 12,000 rupees in one scheme. It gives you 10% per annum. And some other amount, what is that amount? We do not know. In another scheme at 20% per annum. The total interest that you earn after 1 year actually becomes 14% of overall value. So basically there is one type, 12,000, which gives you 10% per annum for 1 year. There's another type, we don't know the value, P2 let's say, it gives you 20% per annum for 1 year. The total of these two, when you see, you're actually getting 14% per annum. The mixture of these two. When you add these two, you get a mixture. That mixture is giving you 14% after 1 year, if you calculate. So simple understanding is 10% is given in first scheme, 20% is given in second scheme. Overall mixture gives you 14%. So take the cross differences, what do you get? 6:4. Meaning the principals should be in the ratio of 3:2. Basically in allegation rule, we say Q1 is to Q2. That quantity here is nothing but principal amount. So P1 is to P2 should be in the ratio of 3:2. Only then it will give you 14%. Now what is P1? 12,000. So 12,000 is to what is in the ratio of 3:2? If 12,000 is 3 parts, this will be 8,000. Yes or no? 12,000 is to 8,000. Only then it is 3:2, right? 4,000 into 3, 4,000 into 2. Now what is the question? Find the total amount invested. Total amount invested is how much? 12,000 here in P1 and 8,000 in P2. 20,000. That's your answer. Alright, so option C, 20,000 is the final answer. Okay, 20,000, 12,000 plus 8,000, 20,000. Again, it could be really confusing for those who do not understand what allegation rule is and what is the concept of allegations and mixtures, but please go through those videos that we have on the YouTube channel on allegations and mixtures. It is basically meant to solve questions on, you know, when you're actually mixing two mixtures of liquids like milk, water, alcohol, water, etc. But that concept can be applied on some other questions as well. This is one such question there. Okay. So it's really quick if you go by allegation. I mean, when you write equations, it takes a little longer. Okay. Okay. So with this, I think we come to the end of this session on simple and compound interest. Like I've told you, to two things are important. One is the concept, the method that you use to solve questions on SI and CI. And in my view, going by percentage is the easiest way to deal with these questions, right? I mean, the formulae are complex and time consuming, and it needs paperwork when you start using formula. So one is you learn the concepts thoroughly. Videos are there anyways. And the second thing, more important thing, is your numerical skills. If you cannot play with those numbers, then you will end up wasting a lot of time. Even if you know the shortcut formula, or even if you go by formula, you will have to write a lot of steps on paper and then deal with those calculations, which become complex. Okay, so any topic from quantitative aptitude can be made simpler by a better numerical ability, right? If your calculation skills are better, and that can be done only through practice, more practice, and a little more practice. So keep practicing and do take very good care of yourselves. I'll see you all in the next session. Bye.